Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm going to call the Governing Board meeting of July 12th to order. It is 6:33. Lisa, roll call, please. Present.
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 Thank you very much. I know Mrs. Knorr is on vacation and could not join us tonight. With that, Mr. Judd, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And with that, do I have any motions or amendments to the adoption of the agenda?
Motion to approve as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I have not received any blue cards for the call to public. Dr. Chestnut, do you have any?
I do not.
All right. See, we're going to whip through this really quick here tonight. Okay. Dr. Chestnut, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Coutre, members of the Governing Board. A few things to report on tonight. I want to start by and a similar award from the Government Finance Officers Association, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, presented to MUSD 20 for its comprehensive annual financial report, the same report. And there's only a handful of school districts in the state that receive both of these awards. A few more receive one or the other, but we're proud of the good work done in that office, and we know it's led by Mr. Roush, but it's very much a team effort, and I think he'd be the first to tell you that. So I would like the entire group who is seated in the back row to come up here with Mr. Roush for this picture, because it's a team award. So come on up.
Oh, I was just waiting for them to come up. I just talked to Thelma the other day. Did you? Yeah. Yeah, we're Facebook friends.
So I'm not sure if you've looked for a while, but 10 years worth of hardware is hanging in the lobby out here from the business department. So it's quite a collection, and we're proud of their good work. So thank you. Moving on, this is the time of year when we do a lot of summer maintenance projects. There's a tremendous amount of work going on in each school. Classrooms are being moved. Carpets are being cleaned, gym floors are being cleaned, and a lot of great work being done by our maintenance and custodial staffs. This was a special project for this summer. We did field turf cleaning with this special machine that a vendor owns. It's really the first time we've had this treatment. I believe we just finished our 3rd year on that field. And this guy goes around the country and does university fields and sees a lot of these field turf fields. And he said that this was one of the best maintained fields that he's seen. Even though it's only 3 years old, it still looks like brand new if you go out there. And so this is a treatment that you have to have every few years. And I know that part of the reason is because we do a good job of putting the water on there when we're supposed to and doing the things we're supposed to do. So anyway, those kind of projects are going on right now, and the district is kind of a beehive of activity, which most people don't realize because they think there's no students or teachers around, so not much is happening, and it's really not true at all. So appreciate everybody's good work this summer to get us ready, because after the 4th of July, school year is just around the corner, and we started getting serious. I'm not sure how serious this was today, but we took a facility tour of Maricopa Wells Middle School. Yeah, well, I got it partly right up there. We took a tour of Maricopa Wells Middle School with Principal Rick Abel. We're all kind of hiding in the shadows there, but it was hot, so we had to get under the shade of that tree. But we had a really excellent tour, and it's great to see all the work being done. And 6th grade's moving up there, so there's extra work happening at both middle schools, and custodial staff is on top of it. We spent a lot of time admiring the new grass areas at Maricopa Wells. It was brand new out front this summer, and each summer the custodial grounds crew, the grounds crew, adds a little grass patch here and there, and that campus is really looking beautiful these days. So anyway, we had a good tour and appreciated Rick leading us on that tour. A little update on Ram Academy. On the left, you can see that the restroom area is taped, and the plumbing is roughed in, and they're making good progress there. On the right, those two guys are standing on the spot where the portable classrooms will go, right next to the auto shop. And that's the surveyor, and I believe he was out there again today. This project isn't moving quite as fast as we'd hoped. We'd hoped that that portable would be on the ground by the end of June. But Aaron's been on the phone every day with the vendor. He's met 3 times with the vendor and the city, reviewing plans and moving things forward. So Mr. Roush tells me that next week the grading work will start, and he expects by the end of the week that the portables will be in place, at least on the site. Now, there's still a lot of work to be done with the ramps and handicap access and all that stuff, but we're making progress. But I've been around a lot of construction during my career, and I know that generally construction does not go as fast as you would hope, and sometimes you don't meet your deadlines. And our goal is to have this thing ready by the first day of school, but we can't guarantee it. There's no guarantees in life. So I've asked Renita Myers, high school principal, and Steve Ibarra, who's in charge of Ram Academy, to have a backup plan. We may have to use other classrooms for the first few days or week, maybe in a couple weeks. I don't know. Mr. Roush still thinks we can make it, but it isn't guaranteed, so I just wanted to mentally prepare you for that. But I do know that Mr. Roush has been a thorn in the side of the vendor and has talked to the owner and is on this daily. So sometimes things don't move as fast as you'd like them to, but it's still good news, and we'll keep you posted on the progress. The restroom, however, is moving along really nicely, and that's a pretty complicated project too. As of today, here's our certified openings, and as I said last time, it's like whack-a-mole. A few of those schools had none 2 weeks ago, and now they have an opening or two. But I will continue to brag for several months that 50 of our 50 override positions are filled. And those haven't changed because we hired those people early, and the recent openings are because of attrition, kind of the annual movement, some people moving around or whatever. So we're making progress, though. I believe 2 weeks ago we had 7 classroom positions open, and now we're down to 6. So that is really wonderful. We have a total of 11 certified positions open. We have backup plans in all cases, but we would really like to fill all of these. And you will recall last year, since we were at the exact same spot, well, I should say a year ago today, we had 6 classroom positions open as well. And if you recall, we had all but 1 of those positions filled by the first day of school. So we think we're going to get this done, and I appreciate the hard work of the staff. I think we just out-hustled most districts to hire this many people, and Mr. Beckett was our head hustler, I think. He was head He was head of the hustle department. So as I said, we're getting geared up, and every school is starting to become a beehive of activity. Our administrative meetings start on Monday and Tuesday. We don't call it a retreat because we don't go anywhere. We meet here, but we start that on Monday and Tuesday. And I'm not sure if you know this, but our tradition is to have a barbecue that first night at our house. So the administrative team is invited over there. So that's kind of a fun way to start the year. New teachers start on the 26th. I'm not sure about that Meet the Teacher night. That date might not be right. Please don't anybody quote that one. I'm not. I think it does, yes. And I think what I meant to, I think that is actually the first day of school, isn't it? No, that is, yeah, that's all staff breakfast is the 4th, so it's the 7th, yeah. So I didn't get this right. I was having a bad slide day, so. Returning teachers, that one is right, I know, on the 31st, and then our all-staff breakfast, I know this date is right, on August 4th, 8 a.m. in the PAC. You are all invited, so please, join us. And mark this on your calendar, August 10th, 7 a.m. I'll do the MUSD annual report to the Maricopa Chamber, and we do have a meeting on the 9th, so I can remind you then, but that might be a little late, so please get that on your calendar. You'll want to attend. So I promise I'll have some new slides at that meeting. I promise you won't see all repeats. On the 18th, the MUSD newsletter will be delivered, 20,000 households. Maricopa Monitor is delivering that, so we'll be looking for that coming up next week as start the year kind of information. That's a copy of last year's. That's not the current version that's going out. Yeah. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Chestnut. Board member reports. Mr. Judd, we'll start with you.
Other than, it was really just a meeting and the tour for this morning at Wells. It was great to get in and see the 20+1 classrooms. I hadn't seen it in its infancy, but it was described as very different than what it is now. So it was a beautiful space. And there's a lot of studies that show, even in the way that a classroom is designed, rather than the straight rows that we're so used to, what we grew up with, it's much more conducive to learning when you're setting up classrooms in different ways. But it's just a beautiful space, and I encourage any parents that aren't aware of the 20+1 program to check it out. At least go down, take a look at the space, ask some questions. It's a unique and different way of your child getting an education, but it seems to be working great so far. But other than that, I have nothing to report.
Dr. Miller.
The 20+1 program, but I believe there's about 6 was reported, so I imagine there may be some turnover, and so definitely if there's parents that are interested in 21+ program. And I was definitely very intrigued by how they've really opened up the space of the 21+ in the rooms in there, and the maintenance department, they've done a lot of hard work over the summer and for everything that they're doing. So definitely thank all the staff and everybody who's working hard over the summer, and so it was definitely great. So I imagine next time we will go to Desert Wind, will be the next option. So yeah, I guess with that, just really don't have much to report. So just trying to stay cool, hydrated.
Mrs. Anderson.
Okay, so just a couple things. I want to apologize for missing the last meeting. It was had an emergency I had to take care of, so thank you for your patience and understanding on that. But I hate missing up my attendance record, so couldn't be helped. But on a happier note, I want to thank the staff and the community who reached out to me and contacted all of us concerning the COLA. And I am amazed, and I think it's such a wonderful advantage, and that we can offer the 3% to everybody. And I applaud the district for being able to do that. I applaud the board for voting that through. The intention of my questions was not to prioritize one employee over the other, but to do my due diligence as a board member and ask all the questions concerning the budget. and making sure that I had all the answers that I needed to make that decision. So we have an amazing staff, and one is not more important than the other. It's just when it comes to budget, it's a very sticky situation, and sometimes questions can come across wrong. But that was not my intent, and I applaud the staff members who took the time to come to the meeting 2 weeks ago and speak up. And if nothing else, that's what our questions should do. And I am so grateful that we have staff members and community members who will reach out and email us with questions, and that's how I make my decisions. So please continue to send me 100 emails a week if you need to, because I can't make these decisions up here without input from the community and staff members. And I know that staff members think, oh, we can't email the board. Baloney. I think staff members and teachers and parents, we need to hear from everybody, because that's collectively who we need to make the decisions for. So thank you. I ask questions that sometimes aren't understood, but I feel that I need to get all the answers and all the information to make the best decision, and I think that the best decision was made. So thank you, board, for doing that, and I appreciate the business office for all of my questions and getting the answers back to me, but I take budget very seriously, and I want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence as a district to make sure that we can support an ongoing staff and community and do the best for our students. So I just wanted to say thank you. An email is never a bad email. It's just more information. So information is power. So thank you. That's it. Oh, wait, one more thing. Sorry. Did you all receive ASBA sent a letter out on my behalf for the legislative agenda? Okay. So I wanted to make sure everybody got that, and if you had questions, you can certainly email me or ask me. But it's also going to be posted on the ASBA website for those that want to know what our legislative agenda is and how you can get involved with making sure that our representatives do what's best for public education. So that meeting will take place on September 9th, and if you have not registered, please make sure you do that.
And while you were gone, we did kind of talk about that,
Oh, good.
because we have a new delegate.
That will be going there.
Good.
Yes, Mr. Judd is our new delegate. I'm so excited.
I did twist his arm a little bit.
For the law conference, and then the 9th will be the delegate assembly. So.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
It was a good, and I thank you for having me go up to Phoenix to get a feel for the discussion, and it was worthwhile to go up there. So going down there, I'll know what I'm looking at. So
Good.
I appreciate the invitation.
And Mrs. Anderson, the other thing, because it was on the agenda, we did talk about it, so we did choose a date for our ropes course.
Okay, what did you choose?
We chose Saturday, September 16th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Okay? So, just so you're ready.
Hope I'm in town that weekend.
Well, yeah, I hope you're in
Just
town,
kidding.
too. 'Cause you're leading us. It could be real messy if you're not out there. And the media has, they've kind of committed, they want to come out and watch us too. I can't imagine why. So the only thing, I've been spending a lot of my time this summer working for the Football Booster Club, because I serve on that now too. And I did have an opportunity to sit down with our new athletic director, Mr. Winter, and I'm excited for what he wants to bring and continuing all the positive improvements that we've made with our athletics. So that was real encouraging. And then the football team is actually hosting a football camp for youth. It's free. It's going to be on Saturday, July 22nd. It'll be at night, so it's going to be under the lights. And the Football Boosters, they're hosting a fundraiser with Goodwill. We will be taking donations for Goodwill, and the football team will be getting money per pound. I forgot what the breakout was. So if you have anything you want to donate to Goodwill, bring it out on the 22nd and help raise some money for our football program. So I appreciate all of that. That's all I have to say for now. So let's move on to our, we don't have anything in work study. Wow, this is, I'm really liking this agenda. Can we do this all the time?
Is there a link that parents can go to for the information for that free camp?
It's on Maricopa, it's on our Maricopa football site. Hang
Okay.
on 1 second, I can get that. It's on the Facebook page too.
Yes.
Page.
It's on the Facebook page too, I think, as well.
But you can go to www.maricoparamsfootball.com and get all the information regarding the camp and the fundraiser.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love it. All right, so we get to skip right over to our consent agenda. Do I have any motions for our consent agenda?
Motion to approve as written.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Mr. Beckett, our first action item, discussion and possible approval of the HR schedule.
President Coutray, members of the governing board, Dr. Chestnut, you have the personnel schedule in front of you tonight. Apologies for the number of addendums that need to be made, but again, this is the time of the year where daily there are things that are changing. Probably could have made another one, but we obviously have things, I believe, pretty current at this point in time. So I will take your questions at this point in time.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Beckett. So, and I emailed you this earlier, so I
Yes, you
just want to
did.
bring it up. Employee number 2. I just want to know why there is not a contract assessment. I understand situations happen. It's not an emergency. It's not a moving away. So my concern is we're not being consistent. You know, we put this directive in place to keep teachers from leaving a month before school starts because it is very hard to find teachers, especially a teacher of this quality. So I'm going to have to, you know, and I know we got a letter from this person, and I understand, but I don't know where the communication breakdown was. But this directive is there for a reason, and I really feel that had this person known that this assessment would be in place, that person would still be here. And that's the reason we have that directive in place. So I'm disappointed that it's not on there, and I'm going to recommend, this is not personal, it's just being consistent. Either we do it for everybody, or maybe we need to revisit the directive and get rid of it. But it's either all or none for me. It's about being consistent and being fair to everybody. And I have a problem with us not being consistent and overriding the assessment fee. And I understand it's a hardship. That's why we don't want, we don't like to replace teachers a month before school. So, like I say, I don't know what the conversation was, but for me, and it's not personal, it's just we need to be consistent so that it doesn't look like we're playing favorites from one person to the next. So I'm going to recommend that the assessment fee, and I'm fine with prorating it, but I think there needs to be a fee because it is going to cost us, and it is there for a reason. And I love this person, and I'm sad that they're leaving, but rules are rules. That's my 2 cents.
And to that, it was written in the contract. They know.
Yes.
They know when they sign the contract that if they break that contract,
There may be an assessment fee depending on the situation. If you're moving out of town, especially if your spouse gets a job, that's one thing. You can't help that. But choosing, and I wish this person all the best in their career. We always want to see them go forward, preferably here, but if they have to go elsewhere, we wish them the best. However, we are looking out for 6,000 students that we need to have teachers in the classroom when school starts. And one of the reasons that we put that assessment is in there is to deter them from doing that. So I understand her reasoning, but she knew that when you sign a contract, you got to be accountable for the contract. You do it outside any other district, any other business, they're going to hold your feet to the fire on a contract. And I'm in agreement with Mrs. Anderson. I appreciate all the hours that this teacher gave to our district.
It's amazing. I mean-
And she's an amazing teacher.
Yeah.
However, we don't have a replacement already for her. We have classes that are going to be starting in less than a month. And I don't want to start a classroom with a sub if I don't have to.
Well, and this person's going to be hard to replace. So
I'm in agreement with Mrs. Anderson on the contract assessment on number 2.
And just to address both of you, I'm highly respectful of your positions. Again, the policy is in place. It's clear who makes this decision. And any time that I talk to an employee, it's always a recommendation.
In terms of consistency, not having been here before and in this position, what has been now there's not extenuating circumstances, but it is a,
We've assessed it before last year at this time with another teacher that left the high school for another position outside of the
District, we assess the fee.
Well, we usually have teachers that
even this year, that if they left.
One of my biggest concerns is, as a teacher, and teachers know this, that there is a very small window for hiring. When you make that decision to leave, there are so many variables that can affect when you sign your contract and when you're hired, and it is a very small window that teachers have to deal with. I think I'd be much more quick to assess that fee if it was a during the school year kind of thing where there weren't extenuating circumstances. Granted, that's not going to happen often. If they're leaving in the middle of the year, it is going to be an extenuating circumstance. However, for teachers, it is very difficult to make that timing. And I don't think I would be in favor of assessing that fee at this point. If I was a member of the board for several years and I had saw the consistency over and over and we had done it repeatedly, but having not seen that or not seen the information on that, that's not something I would feel comfortable doing, especially as a teacher and knowing the challenges teachers face in summer and in that small window between signing your contract and finding a job.
When you sign the contract, you have a job.
That's correct. But we know that it's coming down to the end of a contract where you've met your requirement for that contract for the year, and it becomes a timing issue.
No, this is a new contract. This is the new contract for the next school year. This isn't the old contract. This is the one they just signed for 17, 18 school year.
She was in the process, and I'm sure that was probably one of the issues that she was dealing with, where she was finishing up, and I know that this has something to do with her, I don't want to get into too many details, but she was finishing something up, and that was going to lead her to look for this job. And when you have to sign that contract, you may already be in the middle of looking for that job. And like I said, because of that very short time period that you have, especially when you're just finishing up a degree or something to that extent, you have a small window to be able to make that decision. And I think she was already in the process. And when you get handed that new contract, I should say, you may have already started that process. And to me, that's a difficult thing to put on teachers if they're in that process. It's, like I said, for a mid-year, I understand that. You are leaving the school system now empty-handed in terms of educating children. But when we have time, granted it's not a lot of time, when you have at least a small amount of time to be able to fill that position, it's something that I would have a difficult time assessing that fee.
If we did that, what if there were the other teachers that decided within the next week that they want to go to another district?
And that will happen,
And that will happen. And then.
because it's happened.
And then there's
Right.
that snowball effect. Well, you didn't assess that teacher,
Right.
so why should I get assessed?
Right.
And why should I get assessed? It's still summertime, school has not started. It snowballs. And why I sympathize with this situation, you signed a contract, and if you know that you're going to break the contract, For
Then
me-
you know what
for
the
me,
fee's
I
gonna
would- I
be.
would budget it. I better be making more money to
Right.
cover that fee.
You
If
know
I'm-
the
if I'm gonna break-
consequences.
If I'm
Yeah.
gonna break a contract
Yeah.
after I sign it,
And I understand, I mean, as a teacher, I get it. However, I also know that if you're going to make that decision, you go, okay, this is better for me professionally, so this is what I have to do it. And I'm looking at the fourth grade class and the kids, the students. I'm looking out for MUSD. That's what I'm looking out for, and the fact that this is going to be difficult to fill and replace, and it is a hardship for all of us.
Mr. Beckett, are there teachers or are there applications currently to fill her position that you have to go through?
Very, very few. I would have to go in and look specifically for that particular grade level, yes.
Okay, so now in the beginning, I understand that was it expressed to her that it was felt that there was circumstances that was beyond her that that the administration or the meet and confer committee believed that there should not be an assessment because she did meet that criteria?
I had an
Under-
initial conversation with the teacher and simply told her that there's a possibility that the board may permit a release based upon, since it was a movement professionally for that individual teacher.
And just to be clear on that, I think our past practice has been that if somebody's moving for professional advancement, the best example is if they're going from classroom to administration. If it's a late hire, we have typically not assessed them because it's a professional advancement. This is not just a straight classroom position that she's going to. This is a teacher leadership
Essentially.
position. Now, it's not always, I know there have been exceptions to that, and there have been people that have moved, that have probably gone, have left late in the year and have been assessed. So, but there have been reasons why the HR agenda has recommended that there not be an assessment. And we've been over those, but I just want to clarify what that meant for kind of the reasoning behind this one.
So let me ask one more time. So then would this be considered a professional advancement?
In my estimation, it is an extended contract beyond what a typical teacher contract would be, and there are more quasi-administrative tasks associated with this position.
I would just
So-
like to respectfully disagree that with Dr. Chestnut, as long as I've been here, we have assessed a contract fee for anybody who leaves, and it's prorated whether you decide to leave in May or June or July or August. But we have always, it doesn't matter if they're going to another district or it'd be unless they're being transferred within our own district, if they're leaving the district, we have assessed them a fee. So there has not been a time when somebody's left that we have not assessed a fee when they've left the district.
I'd like
For a
to be honest,
professional
I'd like to get
advancement.
this, is
For
it
anything.
possible to have this tabled so that I could see because it sounds like we have two opposing viewpoints on that, and I would like to be able to see what's been our history in terms of consistency. Is it possible to table it?
I don't think we can, because
well, yes, you could.
Well, it's just-
Yeah, you could make the motion excluding number 2, and then we could then just table number 2 to bring back at another HR agenda. You can go ahead and do that. Mr. Beckett, Dr. Miller's point, we do have applications for teaching positions. Have they been interviewed?
I honestly do not know
Okay.
whether
So-
we screened that far.
So even though we have applications, they may not be suitable candidates.
Right.
So,
my question to Dr. Chestnut would be, and to Mr. Beckett, that obviously we can bring this back and decide whether or not we're going to do an assessment fee. That's a different topic. But my question would be is maybe we need to revisit this and either do away with it or decide we're going to follow policy. So, I'm just saying for future. I'm just saying.
Well, I think that, or just
either-
even clarifying some of the gray area that we may have to maybe talk about that, and, one being the professional advancement, what does that really mean? Or, I think from what I'm hearing from you members is that we're going to assess it no matter what. If you leave, then this is what we're going to do.
well, as a parent, would you want your child starting school with a sub?
I think that it's really not about the children. I mean, it's about the system
about
and
the
about
children.
the people. No, I'm talking about for that moment because there will be, I believe that there will be somebody that will fill in. There won't just be an empty class and nobody shows up. there will
Right, it'll
always
be a long-term sub.
It would be hard on the system, yes, but, and from an individual level, you know, it's less life, you know, and plus we want to, you know, work on some of the
I just,
retention.
either,
and-
either we do it or we
As a
don't do it.
retaining one.
That's my thing. Be consistent. Either we assess it or we don't assess anybody. It's one or the other. I don't think that we can pick and choose, because then it looks like we're playing favorites, and that's when we get into trouble. It's, you know what, either we follow the rule or we don't follow the rule, period.
With that statement, and I think that's why it would be good, at least in my case, you've all been here and you've been in this position before and you've seen that. I haven't seen that in previous years in the way that this has been handled, so I'd like to be able to see what's the history of it, have we been consistent? Because if we haven't been consistent, then it's going to come down to what that employee has done for the district, if they've done their due diligence both inside and outside the classroom. And I know, based on my own work on the override and what this teacher has done for the district, that she deserves the benefit of the doubt. So if there is any kind of break in that consistency, then I think this employee has earned that right to not get that fee assessed.
Well, and also I think it might be important, because I know in other situations it has been expressed that it was recommended by the cabinet to not assess the fee. And then it's like on our backs that we're traditionally, that's what we're going to do. So in the way I see it is that a conflicting, you know, so I think that perhaps tabling it, talking about this a little bit more so we're all on the same page, maybe a good idea.
So that's the only question I had, now that we've
'Cause
eaten up, but we could approve the HR schedule removing number 2.
Yes.
And respectfully, the only thing that I wanted to remind the board, August 9th, I believe, is our next board meeting,
It's not till August, yeah.
after school has begun for us.
So can we accept the resignation, but bring back the assessment fee issue?
That's your prerogative.
I
Yeah.
think we could,
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Accept the resignation?
Well, one thing I was going to say, we have worked with employees in this situation, and if it is a financial hardship, we have worked out ways that that individual can
Correct.
meet their obligations to be released from the contract. Again, highly respectful of your decision, wherever that may be, but we have worked with employees in these situations.
Mr. Beckett, if we were to approve this, how would we bring this back to assess a fee on the schedule the way it's written? Because it's got, I don't know where you would put it on this. It's either resignations, well, we've already accepted the resignation, so it's not a resignation. It's not a new position. Would it fall under other administrative actions?
Exactly. I
Okay.
think we could just bring it underneath there. At that point in
Okay.
time, we're going to address it on the bottom of the personnel schedule.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so is there any more questions or any discussion further for this?
No.
Okay. Mrs. Anderson, I think you want to make a motion?
I want to make a motion to approve the HR schedule as written, bringing back number 2 to talk about the assessment contract at a later date.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, so we need to open up the public hearing for our adopted budget for the fiscal year 2018. So I am officially opening up the public hearing. It is 7:12. Dr. Chestnut, do you have a slide for me?
We do.
My first slide, people. I feel so. And this is epic fail on my part.
There we go.
Is there anybody that would want to approach for the public hearing of the budget? Nope. Okay, board members, this is the budget option 2, which we have been seeing for the last few months. And at the last board meeting, it was pretty much the opinion of the board that this would be the option that we would go with. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this?
I just have a question.
Sure.
I think maybe you can go on the August meeting, but I did ask, in the past, we have, as a board, voted and approved which budget option we wanted to put in, and then it was plugged in. So I personally would feel more comfortable if we actually, I know we've all had discussions with Dr. Chestnut, but I would like it to, I would be more comfortable with it on the record that the board voted for option 2, so that things could, and I understand, we all agree, it's the greatest thing, we've been talking about it, so I don't know if we can bring it back in August, at the August meeting, because I know I caught it Tuesday morning that we actually had not voted on option 2, and we have always done that as a practice in the past. And I understand it's been put into the ADE budget. However, it's very different when you vote for this, and it's on file, the numbers are there, the community knows exactly how we've spent the money, and it's just nice to have a formal vote so that it's on the record. So I don't know if we can, and we can certainly all agree, but I still would be more comfortable if we took a formal vote approving option 2 as a board, so it wasn't just conversations off to the side, so that the public knew that this is what we've approved. So I don't know, is that something we can do in August? Because I know when I emailed Tuesday, because I caught it thinking, wait a minute, we have not approved any of the options officially. By the time I emailed,
Have we approved, have we voted on, no, in the past, have we voted on that?
don't you remember? Okay, option A, B, or C. Okay, we're going to do option B or whatever it is. Yes, we have officially voted, so it's on the record that this is the one that the Budget Committee and the board have put forward. So, and I know we've done a lot of things different this year, but I just would feel more comfortable if it was official in the public that this is the one that the board approved along with the Budget Committee. So, like I say, I don't know if we can bring that back in August.
Confused me. I thought that's what we were doing tonight.
I thought it was 2, but it wasn't on the agenda, and when I emailed Tuesday, it was too late. Because I caught it Tuesday morning after I thought back at different board meetings.
Okay.
So Tuesday, by the time the emails got through, it was too late to get on this agenda.
What-
So,
Because I thought that's what the hearing for the adopted budget for fiscal year would be.
What's happening is that, yes, when we go to the next item and we approve the budget, the fiscal year adopted budget, we're approving basically the numbers in the certain funds, how they're being expended, and what we're projecting bringing in.
With ADE.
What budget option 2 does, it spells it out by item, that this is what we want to do. So we can still approve item C
Correct.
as our general, this is what our general budget's going to be, and then we can bring this back in August to approve.
to officially approve.
Yeah, because the budget that is here is just the ADE budget, and that's by fund, not by how we have it here on our expenditures.
By not approving
No.
it this evening?
No, it's, except, like
Okay.
Mrs. Anderson said, she would like it on the record.
I just want it on the record so the public knows.
So then what the issue would be, and then if we approve this, but because, so like say some of the funds may be a little bit different, because we approved it, those would be the official numbers, is that what I'm
Are you talking
understanding?
about the ADE budget that we're being presented, the
For-
revised
yes,
budget
for-
tonight? Or are you
yes.
talking about budget option 2?
Both.
Budget option 2 is what we have decided, the money that we can actually have a say over.
Right.
How it's going to be spent.
The
For
money-
instance,
the
when we
additional money
first,
comes
when we
Right,
first
right.
started this conversation, you know, the TOSAs to APs was going to be, you know, $20,000. And then as it came back, it's only $10,000. So I just want to make sure that we approve this as written so that it's just official. I mean, we all agree. We've all expressed we like this option. I would just like to see it as an official vote on the
Would
record.
that cause Mr. Roush to do another set of revisions to the budget if we have to?
No
This
revision.
this doesn't revise any of the totals that are on the budget. What's on the budget is the totals of the various funds and the expenses that all of these things fall under. This is just how we're going to spend the additional income that we're projecting here. And so this, actually, this 1,250 is incorporated in our total
Correct.
budget, which is going to be the 43,000.
Okay. I just wanted to check to make sure, causing more work for Mr. Roush on something that we've already agreed on,
Okay.
but I
Thank
just.
you. We've already, as we've indicated with the PowerPoint and our communication, these options are in the adopted budget that comes to you tonight. It's in our PowerPoint presentation.
Right.
We talked about it in emails. So technically, and it's an ADE format, but it's our budget. So we're not approving an ADE
Right.
budget. I just want to make sure we understand.
Correct.
We're approving our budget tonight. and
Correct.
and it is in the expenditure base. So once you approve that, that is what you're approving.
Correct.
You are approving this. So I just want to
In the
make
budget,
sure you understand that. Thank you.
In the overall budget, yeah. I just, it's,
Okay.
it's nice to have on the
You
record,
just wanted to break it down a little bit more.
yes, so that the
Okay,
community
so-
knows that we, because we've been talking about option
Line item.
1, 2, and 3. So it's nice to know, oh yeah, we officially approved on the record option 2.
So Dr. Chestnut, please bring the option 2 on how we're going to spend the additional revenue that we're going to be bringing in. And with that, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:19, and we're going to move on to item C, which is the discussion and possible approval of the fiscal year 18 adopted budget. Mr. Roush, you got some slides for us? I hope yours work better than mine.
Yes. President Cottray, members of the board,
Yeah.
Dr. Chestnut, after starting this in December with all the communication, all the input, all the way through, now it is July. So months and months and months of work. We bring to you the adopted budget. This is just a slide of the front page. And so the general budget limit of $41,399,710. It's the same as the proposed. One change is the unrestricted capital budget limit it was $2,532,063. We did not make that transfer into it, so we took the board recommendations and parlayed this. Federal projects is $6,202,376. Impact aid of $888,076. Now, we put the bottom part of this as budget expenditures, and we're budgeting to spend that. And again, in the when I say what the revenue limit is, for instance, maintenance and operation expenditures, $41,399,710. Unrestricted capital outlay of $2,432.63. We're budgeting to spend it all. We don't spend it all. That's just the mechanism in the state of Arizona, how the budget is that you budget to spend it all. You don't want to budget to not spend it all, because if you go over that, you'll have an audit finding, and that's basically so. So anyway, we anticipate not spending all of these budget amounts, and so, and as I've put into this slide, but board-approved option 2 is incorporated into the adopted budget. So next slide, M&O budget, the highlights. Again, it's based on 6,385.725 ADM. We added about 125 kids, and you can see, again, 85 K-8 and 40 K-12. It's really, that's an estimate, and if you've been driving around in the community, there are 11 developers, and so it really is a ballpark estimate. As you know, we had Davis Demographics give us an estimate too on enrollment, and it's we like to be conservative. There's a possibility, probably a probability it's going to be more, but you know, another term you've heard a lot. We like to not expend until we see the whites of their eyes, and so a lot of CFOs and business managers like that attitude too. So we're one of the few districts that are growing. There are other districts are going the other way. So, and that gets more problematic. Again, revenue changes, inflation factor. We talked about that before. 300,000 enrollment growth, special ed and regular ed. You can see that M&O base increase, 10% override, increase, and salary, which is, that's still a little bit ongoing with the state. They still don't have exactly the rules on that. Expenditure changes, again, base salary increase, and the revenues just follow those different, or expenditures follow the different revenue changes. So, as you can see, some of the option 2 things are in here: sick leave bank, class size targets. So we've incorporated all of those in there. And with that, I'll move on. Another one of our major funds, and we have almost 200, so I'm not going to go over those, but we just like to highlight. Yeah, well, I sure could if that's what the. Yeah,
With the book that you provided
right.
me, so
It gets to be. Yeah.
we can hold off on that for this evening.
Anyway, again, and you may, there's a lot of conversation going on right now about the DAA budget, unrestricted capital, soft capital, and it was cut in 2008, and it was cut in 2009, and it has never been restored. And that really is where we buy buses out of. It's our equipment, technology, curriculum. That's the fund that funds that. And some of you may have gotten some stuff from Chuck Essig's. If you got the same email I did to see the amount, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of $1 million that school districts have not been receiving. Makes it very difficult to do those enhancements when the state is not funding that. So $459,000, not very much. Override transfer, $320,000. Then again, the expenditures, again, the routine miscellaneous expenditures, energy enhancements, copy leases, carpet replacement, equipment replacement, there's curriculum, so it's basically in there. We're purchasing one regular bus out of that, so.
Mr. Roush, I have a question, just a clarification. On the revenue, the override transfer, I just want the community to understand that that $320,000 can only be used for technology because that was what it was designated for in the override. So I want to make sure everybody knows that it's not that we're just saying that, it's that's what we said it was going to be used for, and that's what it can only be used for.
And
Correct?
And we're audited to that.
Correct.
Too, so.
Okay.
Technology equipment. That
Right.
doesn't go along with the positions that needed to be.
The staffing.
The staffing for the
Right.
technology.
But I just want to clarify to the public that technology it has to be spent on that.
Right.
So.
And actually, we said, 500,000, but part of that is for staff.
Correct.
So that's why the whole 500,000 wasn't transferred over.
Right.
This is purely because we can't purchase things out of M&O.
Correct.
Like this, so we have to make that transfer. And at some point, we'll come back with the board, probably near the year end, and go over those expenditures.
Thank you, I'd appreciate that.
So, again, one of our funds that very important for us. Federal grants, pretty stable, minor increases. 301 funds, they're going to stay about the same now, and we do use Fund 11 to enhance the salary base, but now we have more, I just want to point out, we have more teachers. So it's going to be all of, in Fund 11 and Fund 13, now we're dividing it up over a bigger amount because we have override staff. So just, and we'll have to communicate that to our staff because they'll see a difference from what they're going to get at the end of this year or have gotten in next year. So Civic Center funds, we've talked about this as part of our budget stuff. We're 2 custodians, half-time grounds, indirect cost, substitute contract. These are the highlights again, results-based funding. Butterfield gets this. It's funding available and spending rules to be available sometime September. We've talked to ADE several times, the finance department. They don't have them yet. And so I anticipate they'll be reasonable and they'll probably be kind of professional development type rules, but we just don't have it and we don't have that. So,
So they haven't released the money at all?
I don't think, we're budgeting for it, but I don't know that, the state has released it yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, but we won't, if things change, and we've been reminded by ADE, things could change. And things have changed in the state in the middle of the year. So we're, I've communicated that with Principal Hildick that, you know, it looks like, you know, and I've communicated all the stuff that ADE has provided us, but until, you know, we get it and they make those rules, it's not going to be available. So she was happy to possibly get this, so. Okay, state, you know, we have a increase, that budget goes up or down, and so sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, depending on our kids. E-rate capital increase, that's the E-rate stuff that we've been over, and our IT department, way to go, IT department, they are on this, they are on it, and very appreciative of their work, and so they're helping with the contract with this, and that's going to be a very nice, the servers and in the buildings upgrade. We have one, I think, we have one school that is, we're still working on with the vendor, but I think the majority of the work has been done, so yeah, it's very good. Again, kudos. Medicaid reimbursement fund we'll use to purchase a special ed bus out of that fund. And it's good that we do have some reserves, because we're not like some of the other school districts that they depended on that 610. We do have some reserves so we can purchase some of this stuff. And our buildings and our buses and everything else are getting older. So we'll have to be thinking about that. So anyway, that's the highlights, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. Oh,
To
you're
you
welcome.
and your staff, because I know that you don't do it alone.
No,
So-
do not.
President, President, I have one clarification. So, Mr. Roush, I'm just going to be a thorn in your side for 2 more minutes. So the only difference between the budget we proposed a month ago and the budget that we are adopting tonight is the $100,000 that the board asked to be moved from DAA into M&O. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm going to bring
Okay.
back.
No, I just want to make sure
slide.
that's the only difference, because I just want to know what the difference is between what we originally proposed and what we're adopting tonight. It's that $100,000 that we asked about at the other meeting. So I just want to clarify.
Right, I'm bringing back that slide so that, you see the unrestricted capital budget was $2,532,063, and as you directed us, Steve and I, we changed that,
Yeah.
and my staff, obviously, and so then it affects the expenditure on the bottom. So,
Correct.
So if you communicated this, Mr. Roush, I apologize, but I didn't understand. Now, I know we have the general budget limit, we have the total aggregate budget limit, and the total budget subjective to limits. Which number, so if somebody asked me, you know, what is, you know, your annual school budget, which number of those should I highlight or express?
well,
The 43.
I'd say 44 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, close to 40.
Yeah.
The 43.8?
Around.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was under the impression, but I just didn't want to.
Yeah, because as a district and a state, we really don't have any control over that federal project.
Right.
And the impact, so.
Right.
What we can spend is out of this, is our, that 43.8. And so when people ask you what your budget is, and I remember when I started on the board, it was 32.
Right.
Well, and it can't go any higher than 49.
Right. It can't go
That's the
higher, yeah.
ceiling. So it's anywhere between, so, you know, like Dr. Chestnut said, if you said about 44 million,
Okay.
See, we don't have to spend all 44 million, but
Right.
we can't overspend over that.
So the 49's the
49.
budget ceiling, or the
Correct.
Is that what they call that?
Well,
That the federal government keeps lifting up?
each fund has its own ceiling. And so the highlighted, this is on the front page, okay? This is they call it a general budget limit for the revenue. So And that's on your front page. And so the expenditures also are on there. What you're doing tonight, you are approving every fund, that part of that document. I'm just not going over that. And it's,
Right.
and we're approving those funds per the revenue that comes in. We're approving it to the expenditure limit. Now, oftentimes, we don't spend to that limit, but the rest of that document, and like I touched base with you, I could go over each one of those, but that would be.
Yeah, no, I just wanted the accurate number. So, and I know we don't raise the ceiling as
Well, and I think
at the
that,
local level like our federals do.
you know, my response to that, here's our M&O amount, and that's the biggest fund, and that's where the operations are, and we do have other funds. I could total that up, but it probably is going to be close to what, probably 60, 70 million. Another big part of this are, the bond funds and stuff,
Right.
but the operations itself, and that's the majority of this work, is 399,710. Other states, they do it differently, and they do put it all together. It's just this state is different.
Thank you.
Are there any other
Sorry.
questions for Mr. Roush? Ms. Anderson? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve our fiscal budget?
I will motion to approve our fiscal budget for 2017-18 school year.
Fantastic. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Woo, we have a budget. Let's go spend some money.
We already did.
Bummer. Okay. All right, next item, this is to approve to adjourn to executive session under statutes ARS 38431 3A1 and also A4. This is to go ahead and discuss the renewal of the superintendent's contract. So, and then also for legal advice, and I think our attorney is actually waiting for us in the room. So do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve to adjourn to executive session under executive session pursuant to ARS 38431-03A1 for discussion for consideration of the renewal of the current superintendent's employment agreement and form of the, and also consult with our council.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourning to executive session. It is 7:36.
Oh, yeah.
Gary, can you?
And there's no document.